Okay, this issue is up for debate even in Saudi Arabia. There are some Saudi, even royalties, like my boss, Prince Al Walid, who question this policy and worries about it. He's a businessman, he's a financier, so maybe he has better reasons to worry. But I think all of us, the Saudis, should worry about it because we depend on our revenue almost totally, 95% on oil. So if oil prices slip, the whole Saudi economy is going to be affected. What worries me is a repeat of what happened in mid-80s, when Saudi Arabia and other countries, in a similar circumstances, there were tension in the world, but for some reason Saudi Arabia refused to decrease its production, and the prices of oil dropped heavily, and it did affect the Saudi economy. And other countries, of course, like Russia and Iran at that time. Could that happen again? I hope not. I'm sure Saudi Arabia does not want a $60 a barrel. But again, Mr. Al-Naimi says, let the market run its course. That is our biggest challenge. And it looks like we are going to deal with it for the coming a few years. It was needed to address ISIS early. The bombing are effective into curbing ISIS appetite. So ISIS is having more difficult time to advance into other cities that it failed to acquire or to conquer in the summer. And we see that clearly in Kobani. But that is not the solution. It looked like ISIS can go on a war of attrition between ISIS and the world and local governments or fighters for many years to come. But the region will pay the price. The people of central Iraq and the people of Syria will pay the price. So I think we need a comprehensive solution. We need to address the issue of Iraq and the future of Iraq, to give the Sunni people of central Iraq a reason to stand up for ISIS. They fear ISIS. But they also fear more that even if they succeeded in expelling ISIS from their territories, where they're going to end up with? They're going to end up with the same old situation under a sectarian government in Baghdad. So they need the world to give attention to their plight, to their suffering. And the people of Syria, altogether, all the people of Syria, they need also the world to give them attention, not to free them only from ISIS, but to free them from tyrannies, from Assad. And I do not see the world addressing those issues. The world right now is only targeting its attention on the organization that is called ISIS and its outlets here and there in that region called the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. There is also another challenge, which is an intellectual challenge. Why is ISIS? We the Arabs particularly, we need to ask this question, why we have such an epidemic called ISIS? I blame it on two things. Narrow interpretation of Islam, which is Salafism, and tyrannies, corruption, dictatorship. This combination led to the emerging of ISIS, so we need a complete solution for even the Arab world. I know it is difficult, but one day Europe had a plan for Eastern Europe and envisioned the future of Eastern Europe. Someone need to sit, some big brother, I would rather to have Saudi Arabia or along with other Europeans, Americans, to sit around the table and discuss the future of the Arab world, because the future of the Arab world needs to be discussed. What Saudi Arabia is doing, it is contributing in the bombing of ISIS, but Saudi Arabia is also concerned with the threat of ISIS internally. There is a threat of ISIS internally. Ideas of ISIS, I don't want to say flourishing, but they are there. We have them in Saudi Arabia. We have them in two formats. We have dedicated followers of ISIS who are willing to go and fight with them, and we have sympathizers. There's tons of sympathizers. Those sympathizers, you cannot put them in jail because they are part of they've been brought up through our educational system, through our Salafism, which produced them and produced more of them. So we need to tackle those issues. It is a serious threat. ISIS is a serious threat to Saudi Arabia. I do not see ISIS advancing into Saudi territories across the desert in a conventional warfare. That will not happen, but it will challenge us from within. All right, we know that Prince Saud al-Faisal was around the conference and other Arab or Gulf foreign ministers. So were they in the loop? I don't know. But I'm sure when he met with Secretary Kerry, I'm sure they have exchanged information. Yes, we are concerned with, Saudi Arabia should be concerned. There are two things I think Saudi Arabia is concerned with. The nuclear issue, because we do not want the Iranians to acquire the nuclear palm, not power. So we will not be forced to rush into a race, an arm race in the region. But we are into nuclear energy race in the region, even though the Iranians are ahead of us, but we started our own project. The other matter that worries Saudi Arabia is that the possible transformation of relationship between America and the West and Iran from a bad relation to a warming up relation to an excellent relation. And Saudi Arabia has its problems with Iran, regionally, in Iraq, in Syria, in Yemen. It would like to see its allies allying with us in confronting what we see as Iran expansionism. But we did not see that in the past. The West and Obama's administration, they see those matters, those Iranian expansionism, as local, regional matters that America does not want to be dragged into them. So if America sees those matters as regional, irrelevant to its own interest, yesterday, how would they see it tomorrow when they have an agreement with the Iranians? It means they will leave us and the Iranians to sort out our own problems. So we should be ready for that. I think Saudi Arabia should prepare itself that it might have to stand alone with regional allies, not international allies, to confront Iranians' expansionism, hoping one day that if the sanctions are lifted on Iran, Iran could be also transformed from within and be more interested in economy, not on war.